Okay, guys, so before I get into this episode, I gotta tell you guys about this amazing app that I found for podcasters. If you are interested in podcasting, never had a podcast before, know nothing about podcasting, I'm telling you, you want to download this app. It's called the Anchor app. Now, the Anchor app has literally everything you could ever need to build your podcast for absolutely $0. I am not joking. It's literally what I use to record my podcast every week. If you are at all interested in getting into the game, you want resources, you want to be able to record with friends, you want to be able to have all the things that you need basically as a starter kit, you want to download this app. Just go to anchor.fm and get started. Guys, you're going to thank me later, I'm telling you. Hey, coming through, just you or your crew. I just want to tell you about some news you could use. It's the All Black Matters Pod. Hey. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of the All Black Matters Podcast. I'm your girl, Rivka, and you know how we do here. We talk about everything Black culture related, from your favorite Black business to Black media to civil rights. Child, we covering topics over here at this podcast, okay? And today is no different. I have a special episode for you guys, so stay tuned. Okay, so let me first start off by saying happy Pride, everyone. Happy Pride to all my LGBTQ plus community, my folks. I love y'all. I know that I'm very late. Most of the time we celebrate this weekend anyway, so I guess I ain't that late. But I do want to say that first before I started because, gotta shout everybody out, gotta show the love, spread the love. On today's episode, though, I am going to have a really nice conversation with a friend of mine named Josh. Josh is someone I've known for a really long time. I would say like 3 years now. And although we don't speak all the time, I just love having conversations with him because he's such an open book. And yeah, that's kind of what today's episode is going to be about. So hope you enjoy. Josh?
Hey,
It worked. I had troubleshooting issues with this last time, so I'm like, please let it go through.
oh,
How are
okay,
you?
good. What's going on?
I am well. Today has been kind of a rough one for me. A lot been going on today, but I feel like that's just been quarantine just in general. How do you feel?
I think now that places are starting to open up and like we're able to go out and do certain
Yeah.
tasks that we were able to do before, it's still difficult, like just, I guess, like getting used to the whole like quarantine life. I spent 4 hours
Sheesh.
and 45 minutes on my dog
That's
yesterday. Yeah,
insane.
yeah. So little things like that, like exactly. So it's like the little things like that I'm just like, like not really frustrated about, but it's like kind of annoying to have to deal with things like
Yeah,
that. You
it's
know
kind
what
of
I
like our
mean?
new normal now. Like we have to allow a lot more time for everything, which is weird.
Like I literally sometimes I have to dependent on like how like I guess involved like I know that task would be. I literally take PTO just to run errands like
That's
during the
real.
week because then I'm just like, right, if even if I'm like, all right, I can step out for an hour, like take lunch, step out for an hour, run to the store or something, I'm like, it just doesn't take an hour anymore because then everywhere you go, you have to make sure that you're like,
Yeah, it's a
you have on your
line.
mask, like you
Yeah.
social distancing. There's a line outside the store, so
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
definitely different.
I guess transitioning into like now every day working from home, how has that been different for you? Or has that kind of been something that you've been doing for a while and now it's like, okay, this is not a big deal?
So it's definitely different. So before like COVID, I was working from home. Like I had the option of to work from home up to
Okay.
3 days a week. So yeah, so like, like that having that option and that flexibility was very nice. Like now, I guess it's totally different because knowing that I don't even have that option to go in if
Yeah.
I wanted to go in, like that's the part that I'm just like, oh my God, like I can't wait until the offices like really start to open back up because, like after staying home for so long, like you just want a change
Yeah.
of scenery, like I want to get up, as crazy as it sounds, like I want to get up and like, like get ready, like go to work, go to the office, sit down at my desk and like, work and then leave the
It's
office, come
crazy the
back
things
home,
that you
like
miss, but
I
then you
kind of
like
miss,
when you're there, it's like you take it for
right,
granted, and then when you're home, it's like I kind of miss doing the things I used to complain about, from time to time. It's kind of interesting, right?
right. And to be honest with you, I do miss commuting. And I don't know about you, but like commuting, like that hour and a half that I had to commute to work, that was
Yeah,
like my
for
time,
sure.
that was like my personal time because then even though like we're on the trains or like however you used to get to work, like I used to use that time to kind of just like catch up on like things that I didn't catch up on, like whether it's like, like personal text messages or like emails that I needed to
Yeah.
respond to, like reading, I mean, not reading so much, but like listening to
Yes.
music, like I was like in my zone for like that hour and a half that I was going into the office, an hour and a half that I was coming back from the office. So I kind of missed that, because making it work, and hopefully soon like we get to go back in. But I don't want us to rush any like reopening of anything that would potentially risk us like having another wave,
I think that now that we kind of know what it's like,
Mhm.
it'll be a bit different. You know what I mean?
Of course, I've definitely learned a lot about this, like with throughout like the past few months, like this is something that we never like, I've never had to
Yeah,
experience
me
something like
neither.
this in my life, like we know about the flu, like I feel like Ebola was a big thing, but it wasn't
Yeah.
even on this
It
big,
wasn't
like
on
as
this
big as
level. Definitely wasn't.
COVID, so right. So because I was thinking back and I'm like, I'm thinking back as to like what else was like huge and
As everything was shutting down so fast too, it was definitely like this feels different. Like it definitely felt like more serious or more severe.
definitely. And but like I think that, as I'm really grateful, I'm really optimistic. I think that, we did learn a lot throughout this process. I think that, I like to look at the silver lining on
Yeah,
like
for
on
sure.
everything, and I think that this literally like opened up so many
Mhm.
different doors, and it gave us that opportunity to discuss things that we weren't paying attention to
Yeah.
in the past, like
In this whole time of this pandemic and us being home, we've seen a lot of things happen in our community, the Black community, right? And we've seen a lot of things that I would say are
right.
very disheartening, hurtful, angering, just a whole lot of emotions that we've experienced. How do you feel about what you've been seeing? And I know a lot of it has been on social media, and so I think everyone is able to kind of like see it at the same time, and kind of take in all this information all at once. How's it been for you?
It's definitely has been very hard, because you're seeing things that I'm seeing things that I never thought in my lifetime that
Yeah.
this would have ever happened, to like either myself or my peers or, people like Black people. At the same time, again, like I'm very hopeful that this would bring
Hmm.
change. This would bring a lot of awareness, and I see it bringing, a lot of awareness and change in the small things that are starting
Yeah.
to happen. I know that
Yeah.
we're not fully there yet though, so it's definitely not a time for us to celebrate, but it's definitely a time for us to be like optimistic about it.
I know like you have like a diverse friend group, or at least from what I've seen. So how have those
Mm.
conversations been, like, if you've had them, if not, like how is everyone, I guess, around you doing the mental health part of things or the wellness part of things?
So yeah, like you're right. Like I do have a very diverse group of friends, I would say for like
Hmm.
my white friends, like they've definitely reached out to me and, check in and just, like
Yeah.
just a mental check. Hey, like, are you okay? Like, like, are you well? Is there anything that we need to provide to you? So they've definitely been reaching out a lot more now, with
Yeah.
everything that's going on. With my Black friends, I feel like it's kind of like a different conversation. It's more so of sharing these
Hmm.
like repeated videos that we're seeing, sharing this like repeated like anger
Yeah.
that we have. On one side, it's like, how are you? We're checking in, and then on the other side is kind of like, oh my God, did you see what happened at this
Right.
protest today? Or did you see what happened to this person today? Like, this is still happening. This is still real. So it's very, very mixed. But obviously, I appreciate
Yeah.
both sides. It's also given me that space and making me
Right.
more aware, and also like making me learn more about the culture, because I feel like for a very long time I didn't dedicate that time to the culture. So this definitely has
Yeah.
really opened up my
Yeah.
eyes.
It kind of
Yeah.
sparks the light and
Yeah.
makes you feel like, okay, I have to do more?
Right. I was born and raised in Brooklyn. My family, both parents are from Grenada. And I think growing up, like, we didn't, emphasize like Black
Yeah.
American history in the household. It was more of a Caribbean history. You know what I mean? So I know about like the purpose of Carnival in Grenada, the purpose of the Grenadian American Revolution, Grenadian independence. Like, I feel like I'm more in tune with Grenadian
Right.
history than I am with Black American history. And even though there are a lot of similarities to it, it's
Right. For
very
sure.
different. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm starting to realize now, as this is unfolding and this is happening. It's like something like
Yeah.
Kwanzaa, like I haven't really paid much attention to it. Instead, my focus was like Christmas, like parang music, Carl Mobby, like those kinds of things, because growing up in like a Caribbean American household with Grenadian parents, like that's what
Yeah.
we focused on. So it's
Definitely been a
definitely like,
transition.
like I said, like it. Exactly, exactly. But I'm really excited for this
Yeah, I mean, I
transition,
think it's just
honestly.
like for all of us, just a learning process too, because as much as I've been someone who like tries my best to like educate myself about Black culture and the things that are happening in my community, I think like kind of like on the opposite end of what you said, I have not known so much about like my Caribbean heritage as much. So that's been something that I've been kind of learning, but in the midst of that, also trying to find the time to educate myself about Black American history because there's so much misinformation just in
Right.
general. Like, when we grow up in school, we don't get the full story, so to speak. So it's like you kind of have to educate yourself. And I mean,
Right.
I think, a lifelong journey. I don't think it's something that you ever kind of arrive to and like, now I know it all kind of thing. So I definitely think it's a process for like
Right.
every Black individual person and like us as a community to kind of like encourage each other to continue to do these things and like share information. Sometimes it's not always the most comfortable thing to do, but I definitely think it's needed. Everyone has a movement in this movement, and it can get a little bit lost like within just everyone having different opinions and stuff like that. But it also, I think, is really important and worth noting that like there are very unique struggles to different communities that we also need to highlight.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Trans Lives Matter, movement with, Ayana Dior that just passed not too long ago, and so many others that have passed before her. And just that awareness now
Mm-hmm.
that people are like, yeah, like trans Black lives matter as well. How do you feel about that?
Right. So it's very interesting. This is all happening through in
Yeah.
June, because historically speaking, like June
Right.
is Pride Month, like, and I think June is a month for us, a part of like the LGBTQ plus communities to kind of celebrate, and to kind of like reflect on history and reflect on like, how far we've come.
Yeah.
Obviously these are topics that are very, very close to me, because there's a lot of times that I just don't feel safe. And there are plenty of times and plenty of occasions where, I go somewhere, or I'm getting ready to go somewhere, and I tell myself that, okay, I may have to tone down this a
Mhm.
little, and it's like, it sucks because we're in 2020 and I should never feel like if I need to tone
Yeah,
down who
absolutely
I
not.
am, to kind of accommodate to society or to the environment that I would be in that day. Because I still think that even with everything that has happened, like we're still not looked at as equals, like people still have issues being in the room with a gay person, people still have issues sitting next to a gay person,
Right.
and it just it just doesn't make sense, like why we are still, dealing with these issues and dealing with these people with issues, So I always try to educate because I feel like a lot of I guess the reasons why we are still where we are today is that like
Yeah.
misconceptions and like stereotypes out there that people don't know like where to go to get like a real like story or like a real opinion of something.
Right. Like the real information,
Um
pretty much.
right, exactly, the real information. So I always try to be as transparent as possible, and just be honest and upfront with people because I feel like that alone would change the way someone thinks about gay people.
I feel like it's a dual struggle, right? So like on the one
Hmm.
hand, you have just being a Black person that you kind of have to, especially a Black man, you have to kind of like think
Right.
about, certain environments that you're in, whether it be, police brutality and like if you're interacting with a police officer or, just
Hmm.
being a gay man in your community and knowing that, within the Black
Right.
community, there is so much tension when it comes to that. So like, I guess how do you navigate in those spaces? Because obviously there are so many gay Black men, there's so many queer Black people. I happen to identify as one as well, and it's like being a part of both communities can sometimes feel conflicting, especially when your other Black brothers may look at you and not really value your life as much. Like for instance, in this situation, with the Trans Lives Matter movement. So how do you feel, I guess, about that backlash or that duality?
To be honest with you, I feel like a lot of the reasons why like I connected so much with especially gay men who are white is because I feel like for me,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of my Black brothers never accepted me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I grew up, in the Flatbush area, going to school. Like I went to elementary school and in the Flatbush area and stuff. And, like I started to realize who I am,
Mm-hmm.
like I would say like maybe as early as third or like the ending of third grade, like early fourth grade, and like I just remember like being in classes with predominantly like the classes were 95% Blacks. I just remembered like, because of who I was and because of the way I acted as a child,
Mm-hmm.
I was a little bit more feminine than like your regular
Yeah.
guy, and I think because of that, like I definitely got bullied a lot, like growing up in like elementary school and people who were supposed to be like my brothers,
Yeah.
like same complexion, some of them from the same block.
Yeah.
We lived in the same building and stuff, like calling you like names as like, the F
Yeah.
word and like just calling you like, oh, like you're gay, like, oh, like you're a little girl and stuff like that definitely hurt me. And I think, it's still happening today, and I think that really tempered my way or, my ability to make some close relationships with some straight Black men,
Yeah.
because I always have that fear in the back of my head, that, oh my God, like once he finds out that I'm gay, then he's not going to accept me anymore,
Yeah. I just think it's important for us to kind of just be unified as a people, but also understand, like, I think, like you said before, like this time has highlighted so many things that, different communities within the Black community have been going through. And I think that it's really important for us to kind of like just shed light on it. I don't think we necessarily have to like be bitter. I think there's no way to tell people how to like express their emotions. So if you are angry or if you are frustrated, like I know that I've had those feelings just in general with this with everything that's been going on. But for people that feel like they aren't being heard, especially like in the LGBTQ community, I think it's definitely something that we need to not just, kind of section off and say, okay, but right now we're focusing only on this.
With everything that's going on, I feel like it's going to be, it's helping a lot of people, change their opinions, change their ideas, change their mindset on what they always thought about,
Yeah.
us as, a gay man and you as a queer
Yeah.
woman. Like it's allowing them to like, change their thoughts, So I think that's the biggest message, and that should be the biggest takeaway from what's
For
going on.
sure. Okay, guys, that's pretty much the episode for today. I just wanted to have a really open and candid conversation, in the month of June, which is Pride Month, with one of my fellow gay, queer, Black people, Black friends, and kind of just allow you guys to kind of see our dialogue and, gain a better understanding, or just chill out with us for this week. So hopefully you enjoyed that episode, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in to another episode of the All Black Matters podcast. We do this every week, same time, same place. If you guys have anything that you guys want to share with me, or questions, concerns, commentary, everything, anything, your girl is here for it. Definitely hit me up at All Black Matters Podcast on Instagram. I'm always checking that. So please do reach out and follow your girl, okay? And yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this week. Have a fantastic week, guys.